All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of God, Greed, and Guile. Today, I'm going to get right to it and talk about why we're here with the deposition, how it got started, and basically the catalyst to it. Not going to really talk much about David E. Taylor too much today. We're mostly going to talk about how this deposition started. And how this deposition started, basically, is Debbie Frazier, gives up a divorce settlement to David E. Taylor. Okay, this is the initial catalyst right here. This is the starting point. This is the match that lit the fire. Okay, so Debbie gives David Taylor, a small fortune. Goes back to the ex-husband after the divorce settlement's done, and asks Rick, her ex-husband, now ex-husband, Rick Frazier, for more money. Rick Frazier's reply to all this, well, where is all the money that I just gave you? Okay. Debbie says, well, I gave it to this apostle/prophet, and, well, I need more money because all the money's gone. Rick Frazier is ultimately really pissed. I mean, who wouldn't be? This settlement was a small settlement, guys. It was a good-sized fortune. It was, 7 figures. It was in the low range, 7 figures. Definitely enough money for Debbie to get her life started and help her kids have some sort of decent life to live. Instead, she gives it to David E. Taylor. So after Debbie asks Rick for more money, what happens is Rick says, okay, and this is me talking to Rick, tells Debbie, hey, if you want more money, we're going to do a deposition, and I want to depose you, David, and everybody in line with this church because I want to know exactly where this money went. So the deposition's done in 2015. And November 2014 and January or February 2015. So we get to the depositions, okay? And this is where we first meet David E. Taylor, is these depositions. Some people have asked, is this a parody? Is this some sort of joke? At first, I thought it was a joke, too. I for sure thought it was a joke. Okay, so the first deposition is in November 12th, 2014, okay? We get David there, and then he comes back the following year in, February of 2015, okay? Comes back again, makes a complete shithead of himself in both of the depositions, right? This is where we meet David E. Taylor. So Rick Frazier had every right to depose David. But we got to be clear about this. David was just a witness in the divorce proceedings. That's it. Yeah, he took the quote-unquote donation from Debbie, but given the fact that money was a divorce settlement for the family and the kids to start a life, and then Debbie just gives it all to David E. Taylor because he's this apostle and prophet? No, bullshit. So Debbie's deposed, David's deposed, and Michelle's deposed, but we won't see Debbie's deposition because there's some other stuff we don't talk about because it's just health information, okay? I'll just put it like that. It's health information. But Debbie's deposition will never be made available to the public. Only David and Michelle's. So Rick pays to have these depositions done, okay? I don't know how much he paid, but I know depositions aren't cheap. Once there was initially, I believe, from the stories we got, there was initially a gag order on the depositions to be put out on the internet. But for the stories we got is that the judge said, no, you're a church, you're a pastor, and you do everything in the public. So no, this is going to be public record, which it absolutely should be. Because he's operating under a public 501c3, which is a nonprofit as a church, okay? Everything he's doing is in the public eye. So the judge releases the deposition, and it goes viral on the internet. It's viral now. And Rick Frazier did pay to have this deposition promoted on YouTube and Google. $100,000. It was about $96,000 is what he said. $96,000. So there is some truth to this stuff about Katie saying, oh, my dad paid to have that deposition put up on Google. Damn right he did. He paid almost $100,000 too to have it promoted so more people could find out who David E. Taylor was. So really, without Rick paying this $100,000 to have his deposition promoted on YouTube, none of us would know who David E. Taylor is. Really, without Debbie giving up that money to David, we wouldn't know who David E. Taylor is. Without Rick deposing David, we wouldn't know who David E. Taylor is. David's been running this full-blown religious scam cult for the last 30 years, and it's only gotten worse in the last few. This group is actively, I'm actively filing fraud against him. I just sent some out on Monday. I've made numerous contacts in this who are very aware of what's going on and are very worried. We're trying to get more people involved in this. If there's any pastors or religious leaders out there that have had any experience with David E. Taylor and you want to share your story with us, please do. We're trying to expose these charlatans to the world because what they're doing is scamming people. They are destroying families actively. David E. Taylor is very good at destroying families. He is very good at breaking up families. He knows exactly how to do it, and he's very efficient at it. I'm speaking to several ex-husbands right now whose wives have basically left them for David E. Taylor because of all the shit that David E. Taylor's put in these women's heads. When these women get there, David, no doubt, puts them against each other to fight for his loyalty. It's exactly how this cult works. It is a cult. By definition, it is a cult. If all the 14 characteristics of a cult are there, more people need to be made aware of this, because the longer this goes on, the more people are going to be damaged. Okay, so that's the deposition. That's what leads us up to where we're at now with David, is that whole deposition. Without it, David E. Taylor doesn't exist. Rick did a wonderful job of bringing him to light. He really did. Rick Frazier ultimately does not fall under the clean hands doctrine in this. And basically what I mean is, if you look it up, it's basically saying, hey, if you're going to call out a crime, it's like you better make sure that your hands are clean in the same crime. Now let's talk about Rick Frazier for just a minute here. Rick Frazier is also a scam artist, okay? He also has scammed some nonprofits out of Detroit, one specifically being a veterans charity, okay? And from what it looks like, he scammed about $10 million off of books and got away scot-free with it, settled all the stuff out of court. There were documents destroyed. The other person that he was working with in that 501c3 wanted to take him to court, and they eventually settled that case out of court because Rick was destroying documents, is what the news article said, okay? So Rick is ultimately a scam artist in this too. Rick is getting rich off the deposition. He got rich off a veterans charity by scamming money, okay? So there's a whole shitload of money surrounding this case, guys. There is so much money. We're probably looking at the $500 million range now. No bullshit. Because of how much money's been in and out of the courts with this cult. I mean, everything, guys. Everything. There is a lot of money surrounding this religious cult. And that's what's kind of scary about it, is how much money is being moved around this place. That was going to be it for this morning. I wanted to talk about why we're here at the depositions, is because Debbie Frazier gave up a settlement to David E. Taylor. Debbie goes back to Rick, says, I need more money. Rick says, okay, we're going to do a deposition first. I want to know where the money's going, who you gave it to, why you gave it to him, what the money's being used for, which then, okay, now we arrive at David's deposition. He takes the oath. Yes, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Sits there and just blatantly lies, says he doesn't know where the money's going. But we all know that he knows every time he gets a donation coming into that place. We know that. David knows every cent that comes in and out of that place. Whether or not David E. Taylor is still alive, we don't know. We haven't seen him in over a year. Some of us think he's dead. It's been too long since he's shown his face. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world for him to not come out and capitalize on it. One being the war in Ukraine and Russia. He was always preaching about a war with Russia and that how America was going to get nuked by the USSR. You know, now there's a war going on, and David's not even coming out talking about it, trying to capitalize on the process. The reason why, though, is because the social media platforms won't allow that. They're not going to allow him to come out and support the war and like start preaching on it and saying that, you know, I told you guys and you need to donate money to me because I told you there was going to be a war. No, he's just delusional. Delusional David E. Taylor. You guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please follow my YouTube channel, Apostle David E. Taylor Full Frontal Exposure. You can also find me on Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Google. This podcast is dedicated to exposing the religious corruption within the system, the lack of separation of church and state, taxes involved, how they're not paying them, how they're buying up big mansions, using the system to basically launder money through the government, and basically at the end of the day, they tell the government to fuck off. I'm a hardworking, blue-collar, tax-paying citizen, disabled veteran. I pay 15% to be self-employed. Why do these assholes get to fucking get away scot-free with laundering just hundreds of millions of dollars? It really is. These people are laundering money, using the church, using the 501c3 to get away with their crimes, and they hire shady fucking law firms, to try to silence people like me.